As soon as Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated, Alyssa Thomas, Connecticut Sun's star player, went to the podium and made some unexpected comments about Clark's fans. Thomas stated, "In my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base." This followed her recent suspension after a heated incident involving Clark. Alyssa Thomas's response has sparked a significant controversy, especially following a lackluster performance against the Minnesota Lynx in the playoffs. Instead of taking accountability in her post-game interview, Thomas shifted the focus towards claims of racism, targeting Clark's supporters and labeling them as racist. If you're watching this, there's a high chance you're a Clark fan, which, according to Thomas, might also make you a target in her sweeping statements. The situation raises a lot of questions. Was this a genuine reaction to fan behavior, or was it a way to divert attention from her playoff shortcomings? Let's dive into the details. The core of this controversy seems to be an attack on Clark herself. The Connecticut Sun crashed out of the playoffs in a disappointing manner after being defeated by the Minnesota Lynx, and Thomas's post-game comments quickly shifted from addressing her own struggles to blaming Clark's fan base for racial hostility. During the post-game interview, Thomas appeared visibly frustrated. When asked about her performance, she quickly deflected, accusing Clark's fans of targeting her with racist comments. It wasn't just about a few trolls or the usual negativity on social media. Thomas framed it as a widespread issue, implying that the entire Indiana Fever fan base was racially biased and contributing to her mental distress. Instead of focusing on her on-court performance, the media discussion quickly pivoted to Alyssa Thomas's accusations. Rather than delving into her playoff struggles, the narrative shifted to an Alyssa Thomas versus Clark's fans storyline. It was an almost tactical diversion, effectively turning the focus away from her poor performance onto a sensitive issue that no one was prepared to press her on. Thomas's comments begged the question, was this outburst a moment of emotional vulnerability or a deliberate strategy to change the narrative? After all, the timing couldn't be more convenient, right after a disappointing performance when the media would likely be asking tough questions. This isn't the first clash between Thomas and Clark. Their rivalry has roots in a previous incident during an August 14th, 2024 matchup between the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun. During that game, Thomas set an extremely hard screen on Clark, knocking her to the floor. Fans and analysts alike were shocked, and many questioned why Thomas wasn't given a harsher penalty, with some like Diana Taurasi even suggesting she should have been ejected for reckless play. Despite this, Clark managed to keep her composure, getting up with her trademark resilience and brushing off the incident. Thomas, on the other hand, faced backlash from fans, who felt her play was unnecessarily aggressive. Instead of addressing the criticism, she claimed the backlash was racially motivated, painting herself as a victim rather than acknowledging her actions. This narrative added fuel to the fire, as it implied that any criticism against her was inherently biased, rather than being a reaction to an on-court incident that could have seriously injured another player. The controversy only deepened when others got involved. Angel Reese, known for her bold takes, publicly supported Thomas and criticized Clark's fan base, suggesting they were inherently biased against black players. Reese's involvement turned the incident from an individual grievance into a broader issue involving multiple high-profile players, further complicating the narrative. Ultimately, it seems like Thomas's approach has backfired. By attempting to deflect from her performance and using racially charged language, she created a much larger controversy that has now placed even more scrutiny on her. Instead of just facing the fallout from one game, she's now embroiled in a full-blown scandal that has captured the attention of fans, analysts, and former WNBA players alike. This situation underscores a broader tension in the league, how players handle criticism, both on and off the court. Clark, despite being at the center of these controversies, has continued to handle the backlash with poise, focusing on her performance and not engaging in the back and forth. This has only endeared her more to fans and set her apart as someone who rises above the noise. Alyssa Thomas, by attempting to shift the blame and use controversy as a shield, seems to have done more damage to her own reputation than good. What started as a questionable play on the court has turned into a complicated drama involving multiple players, race-related accusations, and questions about accountability and professionalism in sports. In the end, the lesson here is simple. Controversies in sports are often about more than just what happens on the court. They're about how players respond to pressure, how they handle criticism, and whether they choose to confront their own shortcomings or deflect the blame. For Alyssa Thomas, this may serve as a reminder that the best way to silence critics is not to point fingers, but to let performance do the talking.